Welcome everyone to an Age of Empires 4 build order tutorial for the Order of the Dragon. And today we're going to do a feudal rush build order looking to get gilded horsemen and gilded archers on the field for this faction and civilization. It's going to be a great build order because the units are incredibly strong, but it does mean that they're very expensive. So you kind of have to get the build order, spot on. So that's what we're going to be doing today. The first things first, we queue up villagers in our town center as soon as the game starts. The first 5 villagers go to sheep, and we take our scout out and about to find as many sheep on the map as possible. The first villager that comes out from the town center goes to build a mining camp, and then goes to gold. The second villager that comes out from the town center will go to build a house, and then go to gold. That will give us 5 villagers on food, and 2 villagers on gold. Now with the scout, you just need to find a couple of sheep, maybe about sort of 3 to 5, and then try to bring them back home in a natural kind of scouting pattern. The reason why is because the dragon villagers for the Order of the Dragon faction actually gather resources faster than other civilization villagers, 25% faster in fact. So they rip through those sheep pretty quickly. You've got to make sure you don't run out of sheep underneath the town center. So now that we had that 2 villager coming out to gold, we're going to get the next 3 villagers to go to food, and that will give us in total 8 villagers on food and 2 villagers on gold. And that will get us to where we need to be to get to the next stage, the Feudal Age. And to get to the Feudal Age, we're going to be building the Archon Chapel. We're going to be building the Archon Chapel along a wood line, so that acts as a drop-off point for that wood. And we kind of want to place it ideally sort of with a 2-tile gap between the Archon Chapel and the town center. That will give us enough space for a farm later on in the game. Now, just to let you guys know, if you are a channel member, then you will have access to PDF versions of my build orders as you have in the past, and I will make sure that it's up to date with this particular one. So if you had access to them in the past, do check out where you usually get them from. It's usually from Discord, and that'll be there ready for you. So now that we've got enough food villagers on there, 8 villagers, we're going to take the 2 villagers off of gold to build that Archon Chapel, and we're also going to take 3 villagers from food to go to wood. That will leave us 5 on food, 2 villagers building, and basically the next villagers from the town center will go to wood. The next 4 will go to wood, and that will mean we have 7 villagers on wood. That's actually kind of a really nice number on wood, because what that will let us do is to build a stable or an archery range. In this particular demonstration, I'm going to open up with a stable. Against some civilization matchups, for example the Mongols, you might want to open up with an archery range, but the builder will cover that for the gilded archers. You have enough resources to do that. So yeah, basically new villagers go to straggler tree to get as much wood as we possibly can. We're going to get up to 7 villagers on wood, and that will allow us to take all 3 straggler trees. And once the Archon Chapel is built, then all those villagers on wood, the 7 of them, will go to the wood here, and of course use the Archon Chapel as the drop-off point. So now that we started building the Archon Chapel, now is really the time to take your scout to find your opponent. You kind of want to find where you can do some damage. Maybe at their gold vein, maybe at their stone, if they're collecting stone for any reason. Maybe they're going for a second town center. It'll be a bit early for them to go to stone at this point, but certainly want to target their wood line, whether they're on berries, and you want to target their gold mine, because you want to find out where you want to send your gilded horsemen when they pop out. Right, now that we've got 7 villagers on wood, the next villagers are going to go to food as a rally point, but you'll actually start to seed some farms. Now, you kind of have to play it by ear. It really depends how many sheep you brought back to the town center. But I usually like to get some farms now because it covers, like as a build order, like if you get more experience, you can kind of gauge how quickly you need to seed the farms. But generally, this is now a good point. New villagers, rather than going to, well, they're going to rally to sheep in case you're busy doing other things like scouting. But you'll slowly start to seed some farms. Now that the Archon Chapel is built, you're going to take those 2 villagers to build a stable. One of them is going to build the stable, and 2 of them are going to build the stable, and then one of them goes to the sheep. The other villager, once they build the stable, go to build a house, and then go to sheep. And as you can see, we're going to start to farm as well. The villagers that have just taken all the straggler trees, as we said before, 7 of them go to the wood line. And yeah, essentially all new villagers coming out will rally to food, but will slowly start to seed those farms. When the stable is built, that's when we start to train those gilded horsemen, and they're going to be going straight across the map to positions that we've found. Now at this point I think we actually target the stone or something like that. No, it's the wood. Okay, that's where we targeted here. So we're going to go for that wood line and try and cause some damage. As you can see, slowly getting that farming transition. Now essentially you want to get all the villagers to food until you hit 14 on food. That's 1, 4, so you're going to aim for 14 on food, 7 on wood, and that will give you a really nice production for your stable. So we're going to get our gilded horsemen across the map and see what we can find in terms of damage. So we can see, yeah, we did actually see villagers on stir at this point, so we're going to go straight for that and harass these villagers. We're up against the Byzantines today, and it's a nice position to try and deny these villagers. It's just causing a lot of harassment. It's really, really good for us. There's a second gilded horseman. Now, bear in mind, you're going to constantly produce from the stable, which is very, very nice. Now, of course, your opponent might start to transition into getting spearmen, and you can generally use your movement speed to try and go to other resources to avoid getting hit by the spearmen. And it, obviously forces them into a reaction, and then your next steps after this will be looking to get an archery range. So, of course, we're going to need to start building some houses as well to make sure we don't get housed. And once we do hit 14 on food, we're then going to get the next villagers to go to wood, usually 8 to wood, to get up to about 14 on wood. So we're going to aim for a magic 14 on food, 14 on wood. It's a little bit much on wood, but it does let you do other things as well, like getting blacksmith. But essentially, when we get 14 on wood, and as soon as we can afford an archery range, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be dropping in an archery range. Now, depending on how many farms you need to seed, like you can get that archery range a little bit earlier. It really depends on how many sheep you manage to gather. Now, if you do establish map control like this, what you can sometimes do is in fact take villagers that are taking the sheep. If you're expiring in terms of running out of sheep, you can actually go to your deer pack if you feel confident. What that will do is that means you need less farms, and that means you can actually afford that archery range a little bit quicker. It all really depends on the civilization matchup. And yeah, I mean, the reason why we go for farms nice and early in this kind of match is because the Order of the Dragon is quite slow to get like significant number of units out. And so you're generally having to play a little bit defensive in the early parts of the game. So it's a bit risky to go for that deer pack. But yeah, there we are. We've got the nice food income coming in, and you should be at a stage now where you can defend quite nicely. If anything, we're just being aggressive. Okay, so in this particular demonstration, obviously we'll continue to rally onto wood, and we're going to start to now build the archery range. It got to the stage where we got to about 10 villagers on wood that we could do that. And from this point onwards, we're actually going to be able to produce both horsemen and archers, gilded archers, from these production buildings constantly. And once we do reach a good number of villagers on wood, usually about 14, we can actually then start to think about going to the castle age, making sure that we get villagers on gold. That's one option, going to the castle age. The other option is to think about getting a blacksmith and some all-important upgrades. Those are kind of the main things you can do as the Order of the Dragon in this particular demonstration of the Feudal Rush build order. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and see you next time.